Tonight, on a very special edition of Dead Pit Review Shit, we are going to be talking about one of the greatest television horror movies of all time, and also another movie, Dark Night of the Scarecrow and Dark Night of the Scarecrow 2. The double feature pack coming at you from MVD Visual. And let me just tell you, I have a lot of things to say about these movies. Bubba's back in a big way, in a big bad way. He's here. Our relationship at Dead Pit with J.D. Feigelson, who's the writer of the original, and he's the writer, director, and producer of the sequel of Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, goes back years and years. I'm thinking like 2013 or 14, somewhere around in there. Probably further than that now that I think about it. But anyway, we've known JD for a long time. He's a great guy. He's a great writer. And created like one of the best, along with the director, Frank DeFaletta, created one of the best made for TV horror films ever. In 1981, CBS world premiered Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. There's so many good things to say about this movie. So the movie is about a little girl and a mentally challenged man who have a great friendship, and they, spend a lot of time together. They play games and things like that. They're always out in the fields picking flowers and stuff like that. And the mailman, who's played by Charles Durning, who does an absolutely, probably one of the best performances in a TV movie I've ever seen. Absolutely great job in this. He, in the film, his character hates the fact that this little girl and this guy kind of play together. He thinks it's wrong. He doesn't understand it. He thinks the guy's dangerous. And the guy, by the way, Bubba, is played by Larry Drake, of course, who would go on to be Dr. Giggles, who's in a poster behind me there. So if you need any kind of reference point for who that is, he's amazing in this too. I mean, that guy kind of parlayed this movie into, he was in a show, I think it was LA Law, that he was in the 80s for a long time, playing a character with similar types of like a disability. And he's amazing in this too. Does a great job. He sets up like as the face, he's kind of setting up, this, he has this wonderful relationship with this little girl. And like I said, the postman, Charles Durning, gets together with a group of other townspeople. And one day Bubba and the little girl are playing around, and the little girl gets attacked by a dog. Bubba brings her, to her mother, and is kind of like, help her, look what happened to her. All these guys hear about it, and they don't know the story, but they're sure that he actually hurt the little girl. So they all get together, they get rifles and dogs, and they chase him over back to his house where his mother lives, and finally find him. And he's hiding as a scarecrow out in a field, on the pole and everything, and he's got the scarecrow mask on. And they unload on him and end up killing him. And right at that exact time, one of the guys has a CB, and he finds out that Bubba didn't have anything to do with the injury. The little girl just gets injured by the dog, and actually Bubba saved her. And at that point, they all make a decision to be kind of like in a pact where they'll never talk about this. They put a pitchfork in his hand, and they end up going to trial and saying that basically he tried to attack them with the pitchfork, and they killed him in self-defense. And from there, the story is a great, I guess it's a ghost story in a way, but a great revenge story more than anything else, because Bubba comes back essentially in the form of this scarecrow, and he shows up. And that's one of the coolest parts about it. Like the scarecrow shows up on each of these guys' land right before something's getting ready to happen. So the first guy falls into his wood chipper, and the second guy, gets killed. And there's a bunch of different ways that they get killed. And all the while, Charles Durning character is getting more and more paranoid, more and more upset to the point where he starts to like go around and he ends up killing Bubba's mother and burning down her house to cover it up. He ends up killing like one of the guys that, helped him because he's afraid that he's gonna like tell. He's just an awful guy. And to finally see his, comeuppance in this film is is wonderful. I think that's what set this film apart from all the other films of that time period. Just the acting and the story were so good and so believable, even though it's like you have to suspend disbelief about the Scarecrow part, but everything else is just magnificent. And the ending is so good too. I don't want to give away the ending, but there's like a callback to something that happens in the beginning of the film that is just such a perfect way to tie this movie up. And as I was watching it, I was like, this is like a perfect TV movie of this kind. And a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel like it's one of, if not the best TV movies to ever come out. So that's Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Then on the same disc, this is the 4K version of both of these movies, by the way. On the same disc is Dark Knight of the Scarecrow 2, which just recently came out. Like I believe this came out in 2023. And this was JD Feigelson, the writer of the originals, kind of attempt to bring this back. Um, and he's the writer, he's the producer, he's the director. And it's a completely different take. It's a completely different like style movie. It's not um it does in a way pick up where the other one left off, but many, many years later. So there's a woman that shows up into this small town where all these, murders occurred years and years before, and nobody's ever really been able to figure it out. And she's kind of in witness protection in a way, or at least she's running from this guy who's in prison at the time and trying to get away because she knows something about him. And she just is hiding out in this small town. While she's there, she starts to discover, that this town has a history and a backstory. Some really weird stuff starts to happen. Um, Somebody disappears and they blame it on like one of the local townspeople, and he ends up hiding away in her mother's house. And she's trying to figure out like what exactly is going on, and she knows that there's some people in the town that know more about it than she does. She's going around, she's trying to talk to them. Nobody will talk about it. All the while, certain people, certain townspeople start to see this scarecrow show up with these glowing eyes, which is a different kind of thing than was in the first one. In the first one, it was just like you never really saw the eyes that much. You just saw darkness. And this one, there's like, I don't know if it's CG or if it's practical, but it's like, the glowing kind of eyes. And it's less of a revenge story as it is just a murder, like slasher kind of. I mean, these people, I guess, are bad in ways, but they don't have anything to do with his death like in the first one. That was the whole purpose of the first movie, was coming back and taking vengeance on these guys that all kind of banded together to kill him. Um, and there is a callback too in this movie to the first film. The ending of this movie is a complete callback to the first film. I just didn't think. I mean, it's hard to capture lightning in a bottle. I thought the movie was well enough made. I thought that it was, for a film made nowadays where, you're using a lot of digital kind of stuff, um, it looks that way and it looks well enough. It just didn't capture the essence or the spirit of the first one, but I don't think that that's really capturable anymore. I think that that was like I said, a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Um, but it was nice to see that character back, and see a continuation of that story. So, uh, this is the 4K version of Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Like I say, it's got some special features here. Triple fan commentary hosted by Heath Holland. featuring Robert Kelly, noted film historian, and Amanda Reyes. Original Dark Knight Scarecrow commentary track with J.D. Feigelson and the director Frank DeFaletta. New 2023 Dark Knight Scarecrow 2 commentary track by JD. Video feature, Bubba Didn't Do It, 30 Years of the Scarecrow. Video feature, Dark Knight's cast reunion Q&A recorded at the 2011 Fright Fest Film Festival. 1981 CBS World Premiere broadcast promo, 85 CBS Network rebroadcast promo, and behind-the-scenes photo galleries. It's in the original aspect ratio 133:1 for the first film, and aspect ratio is 16:9 for the second one. This is mvdvisual.com. You can buy this pretty much anywhere, I'm sure, right now. I highly recommend this. If nothing else, for the first film, and you get the second film on there too. Like I said, it's a great continuation, but the first film is a certified genuine classic and worth every penny of this. So check this film out. Check out MVD Visual and check us out over at deadpit.com.
I'd like to tell people, thumbs up the video, Uncle Bill.
Would you?
Yes. Thumbs it up with violence and fury and just love everything about it.
You hit the heart button, then you hit the ass button, then you hit the go fuck yourself button. Follow that up with the I don't give a shit button.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last House on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Special thanks goes out to our supporters on Patreon. Do you know what kind of stuff you can get on Patreon, Uncle Bill, starting at only $1 a month?
What's that?
Access to every Dead Pit show since 2005. We got almost 200 fan commentaries that we've done over the decades.
We have a literal jukebox full of songs and thousands of reviews. I don't even know how many shows are up on there now that we've done over the years.
Hundreds of thousands.
You need to figure this out now and subscribe to us on Patreon and YouTube and Instagram and help us to 1 million. The road to 1 million subscribers starts today.
So deadpitonpatreon.com. Join today. Tiers start at only $1, but I'd recommend at least the $10 tier.
You can do 50. The stock market's crashing around us, folks, but send us money.